Time for a Tropical Storm Debby update. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jason Smith on this Sunday afternoon, and we are tracking Debby headed towards Florida's Big Bend region and the Florida Peninsula. Likely going to become a hurricane. Here's a look at the headlines. It's getting stronger. It's a strong tropical storm now. Winds at 65. It's likely going to become a hurricane this evening or tonight. Storm surge values of 6 to 10 feet are possible in the Big Bend area, and that's going to be basically anywhere east of Apalachicola, especially up around Carabel, St. Mark's, and back around to Cedar Key. There's also going to be potential catastrophic flooding because this will slow down and create a lot of rainfall. Currently, all the heavy rain bands are stacked up over Florida, really from the Everglades all the way up through Tampa and even further up towards Cedar Key. We're not seeing anything really going on here, just a few passing showers on the far outer edges of Debby around Pensacola and Pensacola Beach. We're not really expecting much rainfall at all out of Debby. It is getting rough at the beaches. We've noticed a real increase in the east and southeasterly winds, and you can see the surf getting rough. It's not going to be ideal for swimming at the beaches for the next day or two. It will improve once Debby heads inland and we get a more northerly flow. There is a tornado watch up for the Florida Peninsula. This is common when you have a landfalling tropical system to have tornadoes in the northeast quadrant. We will not see that in our area. We're on the favorable side of this tropical system, and so right now we're looking at tropical storm warnings all along the Florida Peninsula, and then once you reach the Big Bend just past Cedar Key around the mouth of the Suwannee River, it becomes a hurricane warning, and that extends all the way over to Indian Pass, which is very close to Apalachicola, Florida. And then there are inland hurricane warnings over southern Georgia, but our area, again, not included in any of these advisories. There is a marine tropical storm warning for the coastal waters off of Walton County across the Panhandle, and this thing could move right on up into Georgia or South Carolina and put on the brakes and stall, and that's why we're concerned about heavy rain. The wind's starting to pick up, but it's not off the charts yet. We've had some wind gusts around 33 miles per hour in Tampa, Florida, and you can see one of the buoys off of St. George's Island, a 47 mile per hour gust here recently. We've been watching the Saharan dust layer because this was one of the things that really kept a lid on tropical activity in mid to late July, but notice that the dust plumes are kind of mixing out as they're running in a more moist environment over the Gulf and the Caribbean Sea, and so that's what has allowed Debby to get going. It got away from some of that dust that's over the central Atlantic, and that's common when you get into mid-August. Things get very moist out in the open waters of the Atlantic. So checking out the infrared satellite picture here, you know, classic tropical storm, not a hurricane yet. Some of the most recent images coming in show some real deep burst of convection on the northern flank of the center of the circulation. So it would be interesting to see if that translates into more organization as we go through the evening. It also shows up well on the visible satellite picture. This is a cool shot here. This is the way the tropical storm would look if you were hovering over it in space. It is not enhanced by an infrared, but it's the actual satellite picture, and it shows up with great detail this time of day. Pretty soon we'll start losing some daylight and we won't see those images as well. Tropical Storm Debby is a 65 mile per hour tropical storm, pressure 992. It's moving north at 12, which is still a pretty quick northerly track, and that turn to the north has occurred. It was moving, if you were watching meteorologist Nicholas Herboso, kind of northwest or north-northwest, and now looks like pretty much due north. And that's why we're confident. It's found that it's not going to hit our area. It's found that break in the ridge, and that passing upper trough is picking the system up and lifting it to the north. And so we do expect it to even hook to the northeast as it begins to curve around the Bermuda Ridge and being picked up by that trough. And so that's going to bring it ashore somewhere between St. George's Island and it looks like the mouth of the Suwannee River. And we think that the tropical storm, or if a hurricane, would make landfall sometime very early Monday morning, possibly as late as around lunchtime tomorrow. So you can check in with Matt Barentine. He will be in tomorrow morning updating you on the system as it's coming ashore. And it gets real confusing. You can see that basically the the path becomes a circle because this thing, the steering currents will collapse, and so it could just meander over the Carolinas or Georgia. So interesting forecast there. So the forecast models here, they're all in good agreement that this is going into southern Georgia. After that, the models get, well, looking like spaghetti. They start getting all crazy looking because of that weak steering flow environment. It is possible that Debby could get back over the Atlantic for a little while. That'll also be something that we will be watching. So that is an update on Tropical Storm Debby. We'll have complete coverage tonight at 9 p.m. on Fox 10 News, and we're going to be updating our Fox 10 weather app throughout the evening and keeping you posted on the latest developments with Tropical Storm Debby in the Gulf of Mexico.